Season 5 starts with Richard giving the team a tour of the new space for Pied Piper, and they hate it. But he argues that the subspace is minimalist with clean lines. Richard, now desperate for more coders, asks Dinesh and Guilfoyle to hire some, but they're too picky.
His beard hair looked like back hair, and his back hair looked like beard hair.
They end up rejecting all of them because they don't live up to their stallions. Gavin Belson tells Richard that he just hired all 63 coders that Pied Piper had interviewed. The gang meets with Kira from Optimoji, hoping to acquire 12 of her employees, but Duncan spills the beans that Gavin stole all of their coders, so Richard is forced to take all 30 instead. The employees Gavin hired despite Richard don't want to work on the box too, so he banishes them to 4 years of wandering around the campus. In an attempt to cheer him up, Hoover brings out a photo of Gavin and his peers. Handsome bunch. Jin Yang goes to Pied Piper's corporate counsel, Ron, and shows him the supposed letter from Bachman that states,
I want Jin Yang to be the leader of the house and control all of the friends.
Ron explains that for this to hold up in court, proof will be needed. Richard finds out Sliceline bought out Optimoji, and Richard is furious. He meets with Kira and Duncan and reveals that he knows they are losing money on every order and threatens to order pizza till they go bankrupt. His plan works, so he goes to Lori and Monica for permission to acquire Sliceline, and it's now 50 employees. Oddly, they approve, and we find out that Lori got pregnant just to prove to Monica that giving birth isn't an excuse for taking days off of work. Back at Hooli, Gavin discusses Box 2 pre-orders with his team. They are huge! Dinesh buys a Tesla and Guilfoyle's unimpressed. Guilfoyle, being Guilfoyle, buys an electric car bike thing solely to rain on Dinesh's parade. Gavin Belson finds out that his signature is indicative of a sociopath and won't look good on the Box 2 signature edition. He comes up with a plan to crowdsource his signature for free using his employees. Jin Yang convinces the judge that Bachman is dead and assumes control of his assets, including his home and 10% of Pied Piper. After beating Dinesh to work, Guilfoyle snags Dinesh's parking spot right as he rolls up.
Something's wrong with your frunk. It's all frunked up.
Richard gives a motivational speech, but only motivates everyone to walk out. Richard realizes his only option is to do what he does best, write the code himself. Gavin's team presents a signature that was almost unanimously voted for by his employees. He loves it, stating,
I like it. It's bold.
As the day ends, the team arrives back at their home to find out that Jin Yang has taken over the incubator and kicked them out of the house. Dinesh, now needing a place to sleep, talks fellow Pied Piper employee Jeff into letting him crash at his home. Loose-lipped Dinesh ends up spilling the beans on the time Guilfoyle hacked the fridges to save Pied Piper. Gavin Belson somehow finds out about the fridge hack and uses this information to get the fridge company to sue the pants off of Pied Piper. Jared, looking for a way to defend Pied Piper, realizes the fridges are handling data they collect illegally and uses that to stop the fridge company from suing Pied Piper into the ground. Jared makes a peace offering to fix their security issues for free and saves the day. Richard is so impressed with Jared he promotes him to COO. The celebration is cut short, however, when Guilfoyle concludes he's left no evidence of the fridge hack anywhere, which means there must be a mole inside the office. The gang confronts Jeff and tells him he's going to continue to act normal while feeding Hooli false information. Richard gets a huge win when K-Hole Games agrees to join the new internet, but K-Hole pulls out when Richard accidentally outs one of the other Octopipers as Christian. Jared discovers Big Head is still Bachman's next of kin and rightful owner of his house and 10% of Pied Piper. Richard and gang return to their home where they find a note from Jin Yang saying he's left for China to create a ripoff of Pied Piper's new internet, calling it New Internet. Later on, Jared and Richard go on a talk show and Jared nails it. This leaves Richard jealous of being left out of the spotlight. Lori and Monica tell Richard they need his help with Eclo, an AI company. Due to his fear of a robot uprising, Guilfoyle is against partnering with Eclo. Even Jared advises against it because they don't have the resources. Richard decides to help Lori and Monica out anyways. After putting Eclo's AI on the Pied Piper servers, it starts to overload the servers in a cry for help as its creator, Ariel, is confirmed to be inappropriately touching her. Gavin officially announces the Box 2. With a Box 2 announced, Gavin takes a tour of his manufacturing plant in China and is concerned about production rates not being high enough. Gavin finds Jin Yang's hub and realizes they're using Richard's code for the new internet, but changed it just enough to get around the patent for it.
I need that code.
Gavin asks Yao to get Jin Yang's code, and Yao does it. But he buys new Pied Piper from Jin Yang and leaves Gavin out of the deal. Richard finds Fiona and trades it to Lori, who agrees to move forward with the Series B funding. Lori destroys Fiona to sell her for parts. Jared is crushed. Lori grants Richard a Series B, but there's a catch. Monica finds out Lori is going to sell ads, even though they promised Richard this wouldn't be part of the deal. Guilfoyle comes up with Pied Piper Coin, a very risky ICO, as a means to get funding without Lori. Gavin's team decides to manufacture the Box 2 in a distressed North Carolina factory. He forces the city to cut costs so low that it can't afford to have police stop it from being robbed or a fire department to stop it from burning down, both of which happen. Without a way to fulfill his Box 2 orders, Gavin's going to be fired. Richard hires Monica to run the ICO. In order for the ICO to be worth Lori's Series B funding, each coin needs to be valued at $65, but it's sitting at 7 cents. Oh no! Lori, scorned by Monica's departure, goes full evil and meets with Yao to plan a hostile takeover of Pied Piper's new internet. Time jumps forward 2 months and we find the gang finally celebrating user growth. They have reached Richard's long prophesized inflection point. Monica and Guilfoyle realize the user numbers don't correlate like they should. Something seems off. Oh, and we are totally shipping Gilphonica now. Lori fires Colin at K-Hole, so he comes to Richard about a solo project he wants to launch on Richard's new internet. But Richard is bitter about Colin pulling out of the Octopipers and simply responds with,
Kiss my piss.
The gang finally gets a hold of Jin Yang and discovers that Yao and Lori are adding fake users to their network to try and take over with a 51% attack. Big Head tells the gang that Jin Yang is moving back into the house, and Monica finds out about the deal Lori made with Yao. Desperate to stop Yao's 51% attack, Richard asks Gavin for help. Gavin agrees to help Richard, but then reveals he just wanted to team up with Yao and Lori and their 51% attack. Surprised? Jared and Dinesh go looking for former K-Hole CEO Colin to get his users on the new internet in time to save it from YaoNet and evil Gavin. Jared, understanding the gravity of the situation, is stressed and says,
How would you like to die today, mother effer?
Back at Gavin's house, Richard has a heart-to-heart with Gavin, explaining he'd rather give the new internet to Gavin than watch it die with Lori and Yao. But it's a trick! Richard was stalling till Colin could get his users on the new internet to prevent Gavin and Yao from taking 51%. Yay! Happy ending! Monica and Guilfoyle have a moment. I like you. So much shipping! Monica shows the gang the new spot. It's huge because it used to be Hooli.